365 days ago was one of the most exciting days in Victoria and I's life. It was the day that she finally left the corporate world and followed me into the world of full-time property investing. So she has written a fantastic article explaining a lot of the information about when she knew it was time to leave work, some of the challenges that we faced in that transition process, and what she's been up to over the past 12 months. But I guess today in this video we're going to run through some of those main pointers for people that prefer to watch video versus read an article, and just share some of our own thoughts on when the right time is to leave work.
Yeah, and it was just an excuse to use the green screen and do some snazzy shots.
You pointed at this, but when it's on the camera, it's not going to be a green screen. It's going to be a white screen, maybe with some like snazzy images and stuff. But I guess the main thing that I guess the starting point for the video is the decision criteria that we had in place. And I mean, you're a big planner. We always have been big planners, right? And everything from sort of 12-month and 5-year plans to holiday plans with Excel files laying out every hour of every day and how much fun we're going to have on each day. We like to have lots of organized fun. So what was the decision criteria for you making the plunge into self-employment?
Well, I think we're really fortunate. So it was a good couple of years ago now when we decided that we both wanted to do property full time, and we both had well-paying corporate jobs. So we knew that there was never going to be a kind of jump ship moment, throw everything in and hope for the best. We knew that we were fortunate enough to have that phased approach and that we could make it work without taking, I mean, obviously we took a risk, don't get me wrong, but there was never going to be a huge risk like some people who go and work for themselves do. And I really admire that approach, but fortunately we didn't have to make it. We could be a bit more sensible with our approach.
Yeah, and I think whilst you say, sorry to interrupt, but whilst you say we admire it, just to be very practical here, it's not an approach that we would recommend for people to jump ship, particularly into property investing. It's worked for a lot of the people that we've interviewed, but there are risks involved.
I more meant other industries versus property investing, because I think we'll get onto some of the challenges in a minute, and we'll talk a little bit why perhaps that wouldn't work for property investing.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to our story. Michael was Michael left the corporate world in 2014. I stayed behind and had that stable income coming in every month, which paid the mortgage, put food on the table, and meant that we didn't really have to worry, and we could go full belt at the property investing.
Yeah, it gave us that first level of what we call financial security. And when we ever talk about financial freedom, there's those sort of 3 levels. And we had that. We knew that we were able to go down to one salary and still know that the bills would get paid, we'd still be able to eat, and we'd keep a roof over our heads. We weren't really at the stage of financial independence by that point in time, and for us financial independence is kind of maintaining the lifestyle that you've got now, so having the holidays and the luxuries on top of that sort of
gym
basic
membership,
survival stuff.
A couple of holidays a year, new clothes when you feel like it, things that aren't essential but are enjoyable.
So we scrimped a little bit in order to get there when I did leave work, but you supported me for a good couple of years, and then we decided that once we got the property portfolio and the podcast up to a stage where it could then give us that financial security, although we would be losing your income, we knew we could sleep at night knowing all the bills would get paid, and that was the point when we realised that you were ready to leave work as well.
Absolutely. And the other thing being, so the kind of third one in that journey is financial freedom. And for us, financial freedom means being able to do whatever you want with whoever you want, wherever you want. So for us, that means sailing around the world on a yacht. We knew that we would get to financial freedom much quicker with 2 of us working on the property business.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the kind of stage that we were at beginning, 360, I was going to say, it was about 12 months ago, exactly 12 months ago.
Well, the end of 2016 is when we'd made the decision.
Yeah. And you left in, end of February 2017?
Yeah, first day of March was my first day here in this office, working with you.
Yeah. And I mean, some of the challenges that we are kind of now facing with us both being self-employed are challenges that I guess many of you will face as well when you become self-employed or full-time property investors, however you want to describe it. But I mean, what were the things that we were aware of when we did take that plunge?
I think the first one is finance, and I think this is a really obvious one, because if you have got a salaried income, you are mortgageable, really simply. And I know that mortgage isn't the be-all and end-all when it comes to finance for property developers, but it's almost the entry-level product. It's available to most people. There's the most options out there. And when you become self-employed, it's not that the options of mortgages get taken away, but they are far fewer. Some banks will lend on rental income, some won't. Some, if you're self-employed, want 2 years of accounts, some want 3. It just becomes way more of a minefield to try and navigate through.
Yeah, the market's definitely a lot more restricted, and we can have navigated that by working more with private investors and joint venture partners, where they care more about our track record and our experience, and I guess the security of their money tied to a specific property versus, how much we were earning 24 or 36 months ago. So that works more in our favour, but it's definitely something that you need to factor into your situation.
Yeah, and again, fortunately, because of our phased approach, we built our track record whilst we were mortgageable. We very much relied on mortgages in those early days when we were getting started, which meant that once those products weren't available to us anymore, we already had the track record, which opened the door to different types of finance.
Absolutely. So what else was a concern for us?
The second challenge for me really was time. Now, people say all the time property isn't get rich quick, and that's not really what I'm referring to. It's more if you are dependent on the income coming in from property and you're planning when that income is going to come in, things become a lot more crucial and a lot more critical, I guess is the right word. Some elements of it you can control, the project management, chasing your trades, getting them on site every day. That is in your power. But a couple of things we've learned this year, and it's because we've been stepping up the types of projects we've been working on, some things are completely out of your control. And a couple of examples I can think of are installing new utilities.
Yeah,
I mean, we've
are a nightmare, yeah.
really fallen for that a couple of times now on a few different projects, waiting for them to come out and install utilities. How long's a piece of string? There's just no guarantee of that.
Yeah.
And planning as well. Planning's another one.
Yeah, I mean, both of those have added, weeks if not months to several of our projects. Utility companies telling you they'll be 6 weeks, and 6 weeks later you've still not really seen them. And they tell you it'll be another 6 weeks, and there's no real end in sight for that. And similar planning applications, a lot of people will be familiar with our Churchgate project. That took us the best part of 12 months to get planning on it. What we thought would be the full project duration was taken up entirely with the planning application.
And I guess the challenge there is you can plan how much it's going to cost you to complete a renovation, but time is money. You're typically paying off your finance, you'll be paying bills, council tax, and these delays not only slow down how quickly the income's going to come in, but they also push up the total cost. If you are doing this full time and you've got no other income, that really can be make or break. So that was something else that I think we learned this year.
I remember on the brink of you leaving, we'd mapped out the projects that we had in flight at that point in time, and when we thought they would be giving us an income, and we thought, well, we can take this leap in backwards to financial security because we've got a couple of HMOs that will come online within the next 3 or 6 months. That will take us back up to financial independence, and then they get delayed, and then you're kind of on the breadline for a little bit longer than you want to be. So it is just something you need to keep in mind, that getting to the stage that these projects are generating an income rather than costing you money can often take a lot longer than you hope.
Yep.
And then I guess the final challenge is the idea that your time, your schedule is a lot less defined than when you're working for someone else. Now, on the plus side, that's good because you can define your own schedule, but equally when you're working with tenants and working on projects and the property industry generally, you can have quite an unusual and sometimes antisocial schedule. So there's been examples where typically you would have got home from the office at maybe 5:30 or 6 o'clock and your evening was then free. Nowadays a tenant might give you a call and say that they're locked out, or we've got investors that are based all over the world, and sometimes for them the only time they can have a status update or a project call is sort of pre 7 a.m. based on their own work schedule and their own life. So we do need to factor that into it, and I think you're actually quite good at making me take a break. So rather than working from 6 a.m. through till midnight, we maybe work long hours from start to finish, but we take breaks during the day for things like going to the gym and taking the dog for a walk and all that sort of stuff. So we have a bit more flexibility in our time as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, you've just flagged that as a challenge, but for me that's probably one of the biggest benefits. we get up in the morning and we'll go to the gym, and then we'll come back and we'll sit and make brunch together, and we'll have a cooked breakfast, and we'll sit and discuss what our day looks like. And there's no rushing around, manic kind of zombie behaviour, just trying to get to the office first thing.
No rush hour as well, talking about rushing around.
No rush hour, absolutely. Every lunchtime we take the dog to the park together. Yes, our day it's 24/7. It's not 9 to 5. But for me, I agree, it can be a challenge when a tenant calls you at 11 o'clock and they've flooded the house. But equally, going for brunch with friends on a Wednesday morning, or we had 9 holidays last year. I mean, that's a lot of holidays.
I feel like we've swung from the potential concerns and downsides to the good parts of it now, and there have been plenty of them as well.
There have been plenty of that. So, yeah, no limited annual leave has got to be my single greatest bonus, benefit, whatever you want to call it. It's just been, actually, the day we kind of confirmed that I was leaving and we knew I wasn't going back, we had a 2-week holiday booked in Florida, and we immediately extended it by another week and a half, and
we got to spend the best part of 2 weeks learning to sail for our 30th birthday last year. And again, we work in and around that, and I've got my laptop on me, you're checking your phone to make sure that everything's going okay back home. But, we can do that from anywhere versus having to be stuck in an office.
Yeah, we maybe went a bit excessive with the holidays last year, but, that comes with it. That comes with the territory. But then, swings and roundabouts, we'll then spend a weekend building IKEA furniture because we've got a tenant moving in and we couldn't find any of the trades that were available to do it. So it really is kind of a mixed bag, and it's your life. It's not a job, it is your entire life, and for me that's absolutely fine.
What else have you enjoyed about working for yourself over the last year?
Well, and another huge one is being able to work on what I want. I don't answer to anybody, not even you. I answer to myself. I work on what I want when I want, and it's also that job satisfaction of knowing whatever I do directly benefits me. I make all the decisions, I dictate my own day, and then I reap the rewards of my own work. So just that kind of, satisfaction and knowing what I'm doing.
The diversity of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No 2 days are the same. It's fun. It's not a job. I keep calling it a job, but it isn't a job. It's a lifestyle, and it's life.
It is our life, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, over the past 12 months, we've had the pleasure working on probably close to 10 different projects. We're actively working on 6 at the moment. You've had a great time growing the brand of the podcast and everything that entails, and working on things alongside me like the HMO course, where we've put 100 odd people through an online HMO program, and many of them are now buying their own portfolios as well, and people contact you all the time asking for advice, and that must be kind of satisfying as well, to be able to help other people follow in your footsteps.
Absolutely. Now, when we took the decision that I was going to leave work, Michael and I committed to 12 months. We thought that 12 months was a suitable period of time for somebody to be out of the workplace, and after 12 months you can go back, you can call it a sabbatical, and return to the workplace fairly easily. And we said at the end of 12 months we would review and decide if we were going to stick with it, or if I was going to go back to the working world. And I think we are, I assume you'll have probably picked this answer up through the course of the video, but we are absolutely sticking with it. There is no chance of me going back to work anytime soon. Things are going brilliantly. So this time last year we went from 1 to 2. As we sit talking to you now, we're at 4. So we've more than doubled the team, which is brilliant. We've got a fifth on the way later on this year as well. So yeah, it's just brilliant, and loads of great things to come.
So, given everything that you've said, what would you say is sum it up in a sentence for people who are sort of on the brink of that decision as to whether or not to leave work?
Plan, absolutely plan. If you're not in a position to leave work now, start a plan that you will be soon. Get all your ducks lined up, and then once you are comfortable and you are secure and you've got that plan, just go for it, because you will achieve greater things quicker outside of work once you're working for yourself. But don't put yourself in any real risk. Take the time, get yourself in a really secure position, and then just go for it.
Awesome. Well, I guess that just leaves me to say thank you for allowing me to leave first, and giving me the security to build up this business, and for making the last 12 months a hell of a lot easier for me as well.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure working with you most of the time. And to you guys, thank you for continuing to watch and listen to the podcast and everything else that we are creating. We obviously both wish you all of the success that you aspire to achieve, and if we can help you in any way with that, please feel free to get in touch, and it would help us massively if you give this video a like, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you all
Follow
again
us on Instagram
very soon.